Yo. Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.
I'm a headliner.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. My final ranking show of the 2021 season is here, talking about the top 50 wide receivers and the top 20 tight ends for week 18. Now, you're going to have to take these rankings with a grain of salt because as of right now, we don't have confirmation on a few teams that could potentially rest starters this weekend. And we will talk about that more here in just a second when we start speaking about those individual players, if they're going to be off the field or what may end up happening. Now, there shouldn't be too many teams, which is the good news, but for a few of the top players, it could leave us in a bind for the final week of the season. One thing I just want to remind everybody of, we are going to be here all off season long. We are not going anywhere. Starting next week, we are going to have individual videos breaking down playoff matchups, have some prize picks in those, players and matchups to watch. So that video for betting or DFS purposes will still be around for the rest of the postseason. So we'll be here doing that. Then we're going to be jumping into draft content. Mock drafts are going to be coming up for the 2022 NFL draft. We're going to be talking about those players. Make sure you subscribe over on Headliner U as well. It's Chris Choust and the guys break down some of the individual players as well. I'll be doing some mock drafts here. And then, of course, we're going to be getting right back into all that sweet fantasy football content. So don't miss anything because Jake and I coming up here in the next week or so are going to be doing a little bit of an award show here. And we're also going to have our hits and misses for the 2021 season and break all of that down for you. So stick around. And if you plan on being here all off season and maybe you've won a league or something like that and you've used our information to get you to the championship, we would greatly appreciate it if you consider becoming a member here on the channel. It's only $5 a month. You're going to get exclusive content and exclusive access to Jake and I throughout the offseason as we head into the 2022 season and get ready for those drafts. So I highly encourage you to become a member if you are willing and able to help support the channel. And then again, kind of give back if you've used us in any way to help you win your league. So ladies and gentlemen, we greatly appreciate all of your support all season long, but it is here, the final ranking show. So let's kick it off. And we're going to dive right into the wide receivers. First up this week is going to be Mr. Cooper Kupp going up against San Francisco. This is going to be, he's not going to be sitting because the Rams still have a chance to win the NFC West with the Arizona Cardinals right there on their heels. Deebo Samuel, they're going to be looking to play spoiler going up against the LA Rams. Samuel's so high for me because I don't think he's going to see a whole lot of Jalen Ramsey because of the way they move him around. Tyreek Hill at number 3, a little bit boomer bust this Saturday going up against Denver. KC needs to win. KC needs to win, and Tennessee needs to lose if KC has a shot at the first round bye. I'm sure they would love to have that, so I highly doubt they're going to be resting any players. Justin Jefferson and company are out of it, but they get one final game going up against Chicago. You best bet they're going to be giving it their all. Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers down the stretch this year. Stephon Diggs against the New York Jets. A whole lot of upside and a whole lot of safety this week. A.J. Brown going up against Houston is going to have a nice ceiling as well. Deontay Johnson going up against Baltimore. Just for the volume alone that he has been seeing, he deserves to be in the top 10. Keenan Allen against Las Vegas. I do like his chances against Las Vegas at a big game this week because he's going to be utilized, I think, the most in the passing game. Las Vegas can bring the pressure, get it to Allen, get it out quickly, and let him do a little bit of work after the catch. DK Metcalf going up against an Arizona defense that over the last 4 weeks has allowed the second most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. They've been hurt a little bit the last few weeks. DK Metcalf coming off a big performance and hopefully ending the season for it as well. Seattle not in the playoff picture, but likely wanting to spoil Arizona's chances at a division title. Ja'Marr Chase at number 10. Now, we do know at this point that Joe Mixon is out with COVID, and it sounds like Joe Burrow is going to end up sitting out this game as well. But as of this recording, have not heard anything on the wide receiver. So we don't know at this point if Ja'Marr Chase is going to miss any time this week. So that's why I've got him all the way down here at number 10 because he could end up playing maybe only 3 quarters. Maybe he only plays a half of football. Obviously, because of that, that limits his upside greatly, but he can score fast, he can score quickly, and he can get a whole lot of yards very, very fast as well. So I'm going to still have him right here. And basically for the same thing for the Davante Adams. Now, the Green Bay Packers, they can't move at all, okay? They're stuck in this position. This final game of the season does not matter at all, but Matt LaFleur is making it sound like they're still going to play their starters. Davante Adams is closing in on Jordy Nelson's single-season record for receiving yards for a Green Bay Packer, so I expect him to be out there on the field, but how much will he actually be out there? Amon-Ra St. Brown, first rookie ever to have 5 straight games of 8 or more catches, comes into a matchup against Green Bay where he could end up seeing the secondary take its starters out fairly early in the game. T. Higgins, just the same thing as Jamar Chase. We know they're not going to have their running back. We know their quarterback's not going to play. How long will the wide receivers actually end up being out there for? Hunter Renfrow at number 14 going up against the Chargers. Hunter Renfrow, this has been a little bit of a tougher matchup. The Chargers secondary hasn't fared as well as of late as it did earlier in the season. Hunter Renfrow definitely seeing that volume still, though. CeeDee Lamb going up against Philadelphia. I would like to go CeeDee Lamb a little bit higher. There's just been some inconsistencies with the targets on that team as of late. We know there's enough volume, but who's going to get the volume in any given week? I do like CeeDee Lamb this week, though, but Dalton Schultz is a really nice play this week as well. No Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper is going to end up probably having Darius Slay on him. Tyler Lockett at number 16 going up against Arizona. Again, that secondary has been burned as of late. I got Tyler Lockett coming in right here at number 16. Mike Evans at number 17 was on a little bit of a pitch count last week. We'll see if it's the same thing. Carolina's secondary is one of the better ones in the league, even if though their team hasn't played all that well this year. Their defense has actually been very solid, so Mike Evans could have a tough matchup ahead of him while he's still a little bit banged up. Christian Kirk at number 18 going up against Seattle. I like his upside this week, but I also like AJ Green's upside this week as well, so I'm kind of splitting the difference with those two, and Zach Ertz is going to be a very strong play. Darnell Mooney at number 19 going up against a Minnesota defense that allows the most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. Looking like Darnell Mooney's going to have himself a nice week this week. Jalen Waddle at number 20 going up against New England. Very tough matchup. That's why I've got him lower in the rankings this week. In a PPR league, he should still be decently safe. Michael Pittman at number 21 going up against Jacksonville. I would like to have the upside a little bit higher, although I could see Indianapolis just running all over Jacksonville and it being the Jonathan Taylor show this week. Brandon Cooks at number 22 going up against Tennessee. That's a defense that really got shellacked the first part of the season, but the second half of the season after the bye, they have been so much better. Brandon Cooks definitely has the potential this week with a lot of targets to him, but Tennessee brings the pressure, they bring it fast, and they limit the big plays. Odell Beckham Jr. against San Francisco, maybe not having huge games, but he is scoring touchdowns. Terry McLaurin at number 24. The last time he played the New York Giants this season, 11 catches on 15 targets, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Maybe we don't see that this week with the offense being a little bit inconsistent as of late, but still like his potential. AJ Green, just talked about him a second ago when I talked about Christian Kirk. Like the upside this week, definitely think he could take home a couple of big plays that could really help the upside a little bit, but I think right in here based on what we've seen as of recent. Number 26, DJ Moore going up against Tampa Bay. Would love to go with DJ Moore higher, but they don't really have a quarterback. Amari Cooper at number 27. Darius Slay this week, more than likely on Amari Cooper. That's going to limit his upside. Marquise Brown at number 28 going up against Pittsburgh. I'd like to go with Marquise Brown a little bit higher. Pittsburgh secondary has been pretty good at times, and I think that we might see with Marquise Brown getting covered quite a bit, maybe seeing a little bit of double coverage, and we might see some Rashad Bateman this week. Mike Williams at number 29, going to be big play dependent as usual. Van Jefferson at number 30, also relying on those big plays, but going up against San Francisco, could see at least one this week. Russell Gage at number 31, New Orleans, going up against them. That secondary has not been good this season. Russell Gage has been a top 10 wide receiver since week 12. Brandon Ayuk against the LA Rams. His matchup is going to be a little bit more difficult for me. He's going to see some cornerback one coverage. I don't think he's going to see the volume to really go much higher than this. Chase Claypool at number 33. I mean, Big Ben completed 24 passes for only like 124 yards or something last week. So that upside is not there with that offense right now. Devontae Parker at number 34. That tough matchup against New England. Mentioned it a few minutes ago with Waddle. Marquez Callaway at Atlanta. This has definitely got the makings of a high upside play, but he's just so risky with the way that offense is played. And if they get out in front of Atlanta early, are we just going to see some Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara? What's going to happen there? Devontae Smith against Dallas. I do not like Devontae Smith this week. It could be one big play. We know Travion Diggs has been prone to giving up some big plays this year, but the last time Smith played against Diggs, he only had 3 catches for 24 yards. Very tough matchup. Braxton Berrios has kind of showed up here the last few weeks for the New York Jets, but he gets Buffalo this week, who allows the fewest fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers and the fewest touchdowns per game to opposing wide receivers. Tyler Boyd at number 30, or excuse me, Jacoby Myers at number 38 going up against Miami. That Miami defense has been a whole lot better as of recent, so his upside is very limited. Tyler Boyd going up against Cleveland. Tyler Boyd, really the guy that isn't having huge games right now, but he's having like that one play, that touchdown, that's really helping make his fantasy value. Gabriel Davis against the New York Jets could have a huge day. Really like his potential upside. Allen Robinson at number 41 going up against Minnesota. Another really good matchup for him. Let's hope he gets himself a nice end to the season. Rashad Bateman at number 42 going up against Pittsburgh. Like I mentioned a minute ago with Brown, I think Bateman could see some increased targets this week. Jarvis Landry at 43. No Baker Mayfield this week. We know that. Is that better or worse for the offense? We'll find out. KJ Osborne at number 44. I've got him as a sit this week because I think we see a little bit more Tyler Conklin than KJ Osborne, but Osborne is a TD threat. Kendrick Bourne going up against Miami. He's going to be really touchdown dependent. If he doesn't get the touchdown, he's probably not going to hit those 10 fantasy points. Cole Beasley going up against the New York Jets. I just don't like his upside as much as I like Gabriel Davis's this week. Josh Reynolds going up against Green Bay. He has been cleared for COVID. Should end up being back in the lineup this week. Brashad Perryman, who's going to end up being the second guy this week for Tampa Bay now that there's no Antonio Brown, no Chris Godwin. We know we're going to get Gronk, but with Mike Evans potentially being on a pitch count, what else will we see? Brashad Perryman is one guy that has been in the offense before, has been good in the offense before. We'll see what happens with him. Zay Jones at number 49, seeing a little bit of a volume potential for him this week against the Chargers. I'm going to put Cortland Sutton here at number 50. I almost put Elijah Moore, but there's still no word as of this recording, specifically if he'll play or not. It does sound like he's going to potentially be a go this week, and they're trying to get him on the field, though, to end the season. Another guy that just ended up missing it was Julio Jones. So started to cough there for a second and tried to hold it in from you. Anyway, didn't want to cough right in your ear, but Julio Jones is also there as well. But how much upside does he really have going up against a Houston team that they could put it on early and often? Travis Kelce at number 1 for the tight end position. He's going to stay right there this week. Mark Andrews is going to be number 2 against Pittsburgh. Number 3 is going to be Rob Gronkowski going up against Carolina this week. Number 4 is going to be Zach Ertz. I like both of these guys. I like both of their upside. Rob Gronkowski, for me, a little bit of volume dependency there. I think that's why he's just a little bit ahead of Zach Ertz, but Zach Ertz does have that potential to score a touchdown. At number 5 is going to be Darren Waller against the Chargers, and then at number 6 is going to be George Kittle. Now, why do I have Darren Waller a spot against George Kittle when he hasn't been healthy? He is trying to make his way back this week, and the Chargers have allowed the most fantasy points to tight ends this season, and they got absolutely ate up last week by Noah Fant. If you remember me talking a little bit about that last week, if Noah Fant can do it, who hasn't really done anything in weeks, then Darren Waller can do it. Now, this is a game. Winner goes home. Darren Waller is going to be expected to be a big part of that if he does play. Maybe they throw him out there as a decoy, but I don't know. I don't even know if they risk it with him to try and get him out there if he can't actually play. George Kittle down at number 6 for me this week, just because I think his upside is a little bit lower than the other guys. And a lot of times with these rankings, I try to talk about upside, but for me personally, if you're going into a championship this week and you own George Kittle and you don't own Darren Waller or Zach Ertz or Rob Gronkowski, I wouldn't be surprised. So if you own George Kittle, you probably don't have anyone that you're going to play over him. So you're going to play George Kittle. If for some reason you have George Kittle and you own Darren Waller and you own Zach Ertz, I'm probably still going to run George Kittle out there for safety purposes. If you own Waller, if you have Ertz, I probably still run him out there over at those guys. I do go with Gronk, Andrews, and Kelce just for the potential of a little bit more volume for them this week. I mean, we have seen at times where the San Francisco 49ers, just because of the players they have there and the offensive structure, sometimes a guy is going to kind of get left out of any given week. That's why I've got him at number 6 this week. But again, you probably don't own any of these guys if you own George Kittle, so the ranking doesn't even matter to you. If you own him, you're going to play him. Dalton Schultz at number 7 going up against Philadelphia, a team that's really struggled against tight ends this season. Expect a good week for Dalton Schultz. Dawson Knox, hoping he finds a touchdown again this week, going up against the New York Jets. Dallas Goedert against Dallas. Probably the most consistent receiving option right now for the Philadelphia Eagles. Kyle Pitts going to come in at number 10 against New Orleans. New Orleans is very good against tight ends. However, Kyle Pitts normally plays in the slot, so it's not really the same thing. If you remember a few weeks back when they played, I talked about that in the start-sit video and how Kyle Pitts would still be a start, even in a tough matchup, because New Orleans isn't nearly as good against the slot wide receivers as they are the tight ends, and Kyle Pitts is a slot wide receiver right now. Pat Freiermuth at number 11, hoping he finds the end zone this week against Baltimore. Hunter Henry coming in at number 12. Tough matchup against Miami, but give me Hunter Henry to score a touchdown. Noah Fant coming off a good week last week. Now he gets a matchup against Kansas City where he'll have to throw the football a little bit more often. Hopefully, Noah Fant is a big part of that. Tyler Conklin at number 14, going up against Chicago with no Adam Thielen. Hoping we see a little bit more Tyler Conklin worked into the game plan last game of the season. And number 16 is going to be Cole Kmet going up against Minnesota. Yeah, I know I have him as a sit this week, but so does everybody. So basically everybody else behind him is as well. For me, taking a look at Cole Kmet this week, I'd like to see him more involved, but if it's not Kyle Fields, if it's not Justin Fields, I don't know where I got Kyle Fields from. If it's not Justin Fields, he's typically not getting a ton of targets. Mike Gesicki at number 16. I mean, him and Tua are just not on the same page. Tyler Higbee, with all the receiving options that they have there, Tyler Higbee's just not getting his. John Bates at number 18. I did have him as a start, but only really in an emergency option. I don't think he has a really high ceiling. That's why I have him lower than these guys, but I think he might have a safer floor than these guys ahead of him, all the way up through Tyler Conklin. Gerald Everett's going to come in at number 19. Gerald Everett really hasn't done anything, though, the last couple of weeks, and not really worried about it going up against Arizona. Isaiah Simmons does a really, really good job of limiting those tight ends in that defensive formation. And then I'm slipping Foster Moreau in here at the number 20 spot, just in case, for some reason, Darren Waller can't go, or Darren Waller gets out there and just ends up not being able to make it through the entire game. But, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The ranking show done, out of the way, in the books. Boom! Put a stamp on it. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the content this year. Don't forget, don't go anywhere. Just stick around. We got tons of off-season content coming your way. Appreciate everybody's support this season. Hit the like button for me. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know who you think will be the top wide receiver and top tight end this week. And then, of course, if for some reason you're new here and you're just coming across us in week 18, then hit the subscribe button, because you are not going to want to miss being a part of this channel moving forward. Appreciate everybody tuning into this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy the final week of the season, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.